Is this thing on? Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, time for open house sessions with Justin. That's me. You're in Justin's house, even though I don't have my logo up. I'll figure that out one day. Welcome. Glad to have everyone here. And I'm excited to this week talk about enterprise architecture. So, for those of you that have been around the ecosystem for a little bit, there was an application called, actually, you can see it on my screen, Application Portfolio Management. And with Xanadu release of ServiceNow, it was renamed to Enterprise Architecture, which is probably appropriate because we had to do a lot of explaining. I remember when we were selling or educating people about application portfolio management. So that was a loud sound. Let me switch my, thank you, Robert. Let me switch my audio to my headphones so I won't hear it. I mean, I'll probably hear it, but it won't be that loud. Okay. Yeah, so welcome, Robert. Glad to have you in here. So I was talking about application portfolio management. It's what it used to be called, and it's part of or tightly integrated with strategic portfolio management, which is ServiceNow's kind of project planning um, uh, application. And you'll see why as we get into the demo, why APM or enterprise architecture kind of found its way there, and it's still tightly integrated. But more importantly than SPM or than strategic portfolio management, I wanted to start with what is probably the most critical part of sorry, I'm making sure I don't miss any comments. The most critical part of application portfolio management is the CSDM. So it it really relies on a healthy, well-maintained CMDB or configuration management database. And the common services data model is ServiceNow's best practice deployment of the CMDB, right? To do these things, these configurations, these settings, and set things up in a certain way. That common services data model is how that happens. And there's a whole methodology to it where you can start crawling and then walking, running and then flying. Crawl, walk, one, run, fly. Yeah, I got that right. And what the enterprise architecture application kind of narrows in on is this upper right quadrant of the common service data model, where you're looking at business capabilities. Translation of that is what is the capability that IT is trying to provide for the business? For example, you'll see in the demo, I may need a payment processor or a way to for customers to pay my business. And so that would be a business capability under finance. We need the ability to have payments. The business application is the application that delivers that capability. So it's that second box up here. And so, as part of enterprise architecture, you might be concerned about how many business applications work together or independently to fulfill a business capability. And there's potential for rationalization or cost savings by reducing or eliminating or divesting of business applications in favor of a single application, a newer application, a more feature rich application, a cheaper application. So that's kind of like one of the enterprise architect duties, is to make sure that we don't have 10 tools that do the same thing to fulfill one business capability. So that's what we'll be spending a lot of time in talking about that. But as part of looking at a business capability and a business application, there's life cycles associated with both hardware and software to support those capabilities. And that's a big part of what we're managing in enterprise architecture too. So I'll translate that. An application may go end of support. So SQL Server 2019 may go end of support at some point. And that's something we want to track, because when we're out of support, that application is now at risk, or that business capability is at risk. The last one is the hardware, right? So you'll see that in the demo too. Hardware usually has a life cycle to it too. And so we'll manage those with what ServiceNow calls technology reference models, and managing kind of where all that, what those life cycles are for those applications and technologies. So I mentioned APM, or I mentioned strategic portfolio management, but while I'm talking about those hardware and software life cycles, I want you to also think about HAM and SAM. So hardware asset management and software asset management are two separate applications umbrellaed by IT asset management within the ServiceNow platform. So those products, those applications, they're going to have those life cycles coming from either a source like ServiceNow, who's maintaining them and pushing them down to instances if you subscribe to them, and then enterprise architecture can take advantage of those life cycles. And you can also have internal life cycles too. So I think I hit on all the kind of ancillary things related to enterprise architecture. The last one I haven't talked about in that box up there behind my head is information objects. It's not one of the well publicized or well known parts of the CMDB, but it's actually really cool, I think, to make sure to include in your enterprise architecture design, is what types of information are in those business applications. Is it customer credit card numbers? Is it customer social security numbers? Is it an employee social security number? So those are little information objects. You can get as granular as you want, and then you can associate them with business applications using the enterprise architecture. And then you can do something like, if you're in a major incident or a security breach, you can pull a report and say, show me every application that has customer data, or show me every application that has employee data, and you can get to that really quickly. Or you can use that information to weight your risk assessments and change management. And so there's lots of potential uses for maintaining and keeping this information up to date. So CSDM, if you hadn't heard of it, Common Services Data Model, or Common Service Data Model. I've seen it both plural and not plural, so you should definitely check that out. In fact, let me put a link to this in both chats. I've got LinkedIn going, and I've got, is it going to let me post that? Yeah, there's the Common Service Data Model over to LinkedIn, and I'll send it over to you guys on YouTube as well. Put that link in the comments. If you haven't heard of the Common Service Data Model, you should definitely check it out. And that's the page that I was showing on the screen there. So moving away from that, we are going to get into enterprise architecture workspace here in a second. But the second thing that I don't typically see people show in an application or in a demo or a demonstration of enterprise architecture is that there's actually some record producers associated with the application that kind of help facilitate that enterprise architecture process. So let's go back and look at that common service data model again. Remember, there's business capabilities and business applications. Who owns that? The business, right? There might be someone in IT who supports that and has a relationship with the business, but there may be instances where you want to expose to your business the ability to register a business application or retire a business application or request an architecture review. And that's what I'm going to show you here in the portal. What I did to set this up in the demo is I went to those catalog items, configurations. They're record producers, but we'll call them catalog items. And I added a topic in the taxonomy for IT for IT. So I thought that was a good fit, like for just this demo, right? So I put it in IT for IT, and I want to show you a couple of those. And what do you know? We get our first demo fail. There it is. There's a JavaScript error. Okay, I'll just refresh the page and hopefully that goes away. Let's see. IT for IT. There we go. And I should have said at the start of the stream, if anybody has questions or comments, put them on the screen or put them in. I'm happy to answer anything on the fly. You're not going to mess me up by interrupting. There's a little bit of a delay too, so you definitely won't interrupt me right away. But let me point out the stuff that I made sure was showing on the portal here. So there's register a business application, request an architecture review, request a digital integration. I'm actually not going to get into the digital integrations because it's a separate application on top of enterprise architecture or APM. But it's pretty cool. If we have time, maybe we can get to it. Then there's retire a digital integration. And I should clarify, what do we mean by digital integration? Literally what it says. You want to track where you have integration points in your environment. So maybe you've got ServiceNow and Jira connected, for example, then you might document that as a digital integration saying that Jira is consuming information from ServiceNow and ServiceNow is consuming information from Jira. That's what we mean by digital integration. Then there's request a TRM product or technology reference model product, which kind of hurts my brain to say reference model product, but anyways, that's what it's called. Then there's retire a business application and then request a TRM product lifecycle. Let's jump in and take a look at what kind of things might be related to registering a business application. So remember, we'll put ourselves in the role of an enterprise architect, and I may have an HR department, we'll pick on HR, went out and purchased something, maybe a subscription to a software as a service, and they're like, oops, I forgot to tell IT, and the enterprise architect is like, we need to register that business application. So that's where this might come into play. So they could put the name, the benefit of it, who the IT owner is, who the business owner is, what the category is, and what type of application it is. All these are configurable. And that's just base level information you may want related to the business application record in the CMDB in order to do things like, if it's an IT owner, provide support or send approvals for change management, or understand who should approve a new project that's related to this business application. And then who's the business owner. You can use that to automate notifications, certifications, attestations, stuff like that you'll also see in the demo. So that's registering one. Let's scroll down to the next one, which was request an architecture review. So this has a flow for select the business application that you want an architecture review on. Maybe associated with a project. Maybe a project is about to go live or implement something, and so you want to relate it to a project if you're using strategic portfolio management or project and portfolio, the project and portfolio suite. I think PPS is what they refer to it as. The architecture review can have a short description and a requested review date. And again, these are record producers, so if you want to come in and modify these, hide fields, show fields, you can do all of that. here's the request digital integration. I kind of covered what a digital integration is, but then this kind of spells out who's a subscriber business application, what's the interface for it, what's the company that's associated with it, who's providing, what's a provider business application. If it's new, they may need to provide additional information instead of selecting it from a list. And then who the IT owner is, business owner. I almost spilled my water. And a type, so data process or user interface. Again, all of this configurable for digital integrations. Again, a separate app that you install on top of enterprise architecture. Then there's the retire. So you basically pick the digital integration that you want to retire because it's going away. And that will get off to the enterprise architects to review. Request a TRM product. So this would ask for the publisher, what the category is for it, the type, software, hardware. Remember I was talking about life cycles, stuff like that. What the software product is, since it's software. If it is hardware, it would change to the hardware name. What's the phase? And that we'll get into some of this when we get into the enterprise architecture workspace. But is this product approved with constraints? Are we divesting it, like getting rid of it? Are we evaluating it, or is it unapproved? Maybe it's something that, hey, this is not approved, should not be installed, or should not be on our network. For example, maybe it's let's get political. Maybe it's a switch from Huawei, and that we don't want on the network because we don't want anybody hacking our network. I'm not saying Huawei's are hackable, but I think there's some drama out there about Chinese manufactured hardware and software. So there's where unapproved might come in. Short description, business justification, again for requesting that product. We'll leave that one there and head down to the retire business applications. Kind of like the retire digital integration. You just select the business application and it goes off and lands on the enterprise architect's request list, which you'll see in the workspace. Last one here is the request a TRM product lifecycle. So this may make it more clear what I meant around the life cycles and how you manage them. So maybe we have a Dell PowerEdge R630, and we're going to request that this be approved and associated with a business application. Select a hardware model for it. Let's do 6100 rack server, and that populates this model information. Choose a business application maybe to associate with it, short description, and a business justification. Again, that would still go to the enterprise architects to manage and review and approve, or bring to the review board, stuff like that. So wanted to cover this kind of front end facing. You don't have to put this on the portal or employee center like I did here. If you did want to, you just need to pick a topic, maybe one of your topics, so it shows up where you want it. And make sure that the user criteria, or who it's available for and not available for, are configured to be appropriate for the right people. Like, your security officer is not going to need to, request a business application, but the director of security or the vice president of security may be appropriate for them to register a business application or retire a business application. All that varies, and it's ServiceNow, so you can configure it how you'd like. So that's the portal side of things. And now we are actually in the enterprise architecture workspace. My first complaint about this workspace is the big dead space at the top. And a lot of the workspaces, you usually can dismiss these. There's like a little X button. We can personalize the page below that, so I can turn off insights, attention, and portfolio overview and health. But I can't turn off the big waste of space at the top. So would love to see that fixed one day, because it's just there. And the other ones do let you close it, but that's that. We're going to go down through this in a second. Again, I like to show concepts like the CSDM, like the portal, before we start diving into the day-to-day of an enterprise architect in their workspace. And two of those concepts are scores, right? Scores about business applications, or scores about capabilities, are going to be crucial into knowing what I should focus on as an enterprise architect. Does it have a really low score or a really high score? That might influence my decision making. And the way ServiceNow accomplishes that is through these indicators. So I'll just cover real quick. Application indicators are, think of them like performance analytics indicators, if you're familiar with that. So they're little jobs that are going out and collecting data and storing it and trending it over time and calculating those scores and rolling them up. A lot of this happens in like risk management and spaces like that, but we use it here too to provide scores around these applications. And I wanted to show this initially so you could see and get an idea of what kind of things can be scored, right? So maybe how many incidents does an application have? And that's a pretty powerful metric. This one's being measured every quarter with a custom script. If I have an application that's got like, gobs and gobs of incidents every quarter, maybe that's something I should look to replace. Or maybe we should put an enhancement in to fix something so there's not so many incidents. I almost said damn incidents, but I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying, there shouldn't be a lot of incidents, right, for our core crown jewels business applications. Maybe we want to understand the business criticality. Maybe it's like a system that's not very critical, and so we can be at risk on the hardware or on the software, and it won't really matter. What's the impact of the business? What's the cloud readiness for that application? What's the core architecture of it, and let's monitor that. What's the customer satisfaction scores associated with the with that? So let's actually open up one of these. I'm just gonna so you can see how these are configured. Application incident count. We can have some configuration options around that, but this one actually has a script that's running. I'll just show the script real quick. And someone wrote a script to basically go get all the applications, then go query all the incidents, and then write that score back to that particular metric or to that particular indicator. And those can be rolled up, which we'll show here in a second with the scoring profiles. So that's an application indicator. Your mind might think of other things. I'll just scroll down so you can see the rest of them. Changes, incidents, problems, total cost of ownership, the regulatory implications, strategic importance, technical risk, technical lifecycle risk, et cetera, for the application indicators. The capability indicators are a lot less involved, and unfortunately in my demo environment, they're really like they're all the same question is like, would you recommend this application to a fellow peer or a customer? But basically it focuses on people, process, and technology. And so you may want some assessments right there. Like, let's think about people. You may want to send out to users of the application or the users of that business capability. Sorry. Hey, is this capability being met? Are you satisfied with it? Is there room for improvement? And then you can ask the same questions around the process, or you can ask the same questions to the IT group that supports that business capability. And I'll just open up one here so you can see that silly question that's on all of these. I think it's this metric category. And then the metric is, how likely is it that you would recommend this capability to others? In the demo environment, they included that one. But as part of the implementation, we might set up different questions for different people that might be completing those assessments and responding to them. Okay, so we've got scores for your business apps and your business capabilities, and we roll those up into scoring profiles. So we might have a business capability profile, a cloud readiness profile, or my favorite, the default application profile. And this will give you an idea of kind of how all of these, pardon me, that was my camera shutting off. Not the camera I need, but a different camera. All of these can be rolled up and weighted, right? So someone in the default profile has picked 14 of those scores and added them to this profile. And then behind my head there, you can see they each have a weight associated with them. So it looks like the small ones are number of problems, applications incident count. There it is again for incident count and number of changes. And then the rest are weighted 10, like CSAT, total cost of ownership, functional fit is one we didn't talk about. And then that will drive the scores that we'll see when we're looking at our business application portfolio or capability hierarchy. And then again, it's just more information to kind of feed our enterprise architect processes. All right. So back to the home that kind of underpins enterprise architecture, also application portfolio management. I'm not going to go to the old portal because why would we show a portal that's going to go away? Again, another reason to get rid of that big banner at the top. But there is this insights section, and if you've seen ham, sam, cmdb, I don't think HR even probably has it now. This is kind of a pre-canned functionality that ServiceNow has been including on top of workspaces to bring visibility into aspects of this application. So our first one is for the application portfolio, view a list of candidates for business applications to invest in or dispose, or business applications that don't have any cost data. Again, that cost data is what's going to drive things like total cost of ownership scores that you saw in the previous score that would roll up into a scoring profile. So if we don't have the cost data for an application, we're not going to have maybe the scores that are accurate enough for us to make decisions. All right. Robert says you shared a ServiceNow community link for the CSDM topic early in the video. Yes, I did. I did share that. Is it not working, Rob? I wanted to make sure you guys had that link for what I was showing on the screen. This common service data model. I didn't cover everything, but this is a really well maintained article with everything that relates to the CSDM. Um, yeah, great question, Rob. So Rob's asking about any recommended links. So this link is the link I would recommend, and if you scroll down, it's got even more links to other stuff. This is probably the most comprehensive resource I've seen around CSDM, apart from anything in Now Learning. If you're not familiar with Now Learning, that's ServiceNow's training application, and I would go, definitely check out, take any of those courses that you can, and then look at these links that are in this particular article. So it's got blog posts that I'm scrolling through now, all kinds of good stuff, videos and podcasts. Hey, maybe we'll make the list since I talked about CSDM. Probably not. Would probably be on the enterprise architecture page if there is one. But I'll keep scrolling. There's lots and lots of links. And we are on version 4, I believe, of the CSDM. And I'm even not like, I'm pretty familiar with the CSDM, but I still have questions sometimes about things because it's a lot. There's a lot going on in the CSDM, and it's evolving as ServiceNow is evolving their products, their applications, and look, a known error portal too. So yeah, definitely check that out. That's the link I posted up earlier in the video. All right. Oh, additional links. The So Rob's asking about additional links. There's like a page. I'll just click on it. We can see there's this page that I had kind of prepared. It's like ServiceNow's, let's say, executive friendly kind of view of the CSDM, and there is a link to it into an ebook. So let me paste that for you guys, so you have that link too, Rob. Since you're asking about it, there's that link. And let's share it with the YouTube people as well. So I just shared that to LinkedIn and YouTube. So there's that one, and then there is, I think, the one I just had open, and one more. Let's try this one here. This is it's like a different salesy kind of demo ITOM, but talk about IT operations management in the CMDB, and it has some good information. This is really high level about kind of breaking down the CSDM into, you know, understandable chunks. But you can see some of the stuff we're talking about: business capabilities, information objects, business applications, application services, stuff like that. So let me pop that link into both chats as well, and they'll be there forever for everybody to enjoy. There it is on YouTube, and let's pop that over to LinkedIn. So Rob, those would be the three links that I would recommend to get started. And the only one I didn't include is Now Learning, so I'd head over to Now Learning to find anything. And Enterprise Architecture is going to be in Now Learning too. The doc site, it's usually a good, I don't know if it's good for CSDM. Yeah, let's just stick with the links I gave you. The doc site is more about applications. So I should say that every application that ServiceNow sells or includes on the platform uses, almost all of them use the CMDB in some way. And they use the CMDB in a way that fits the common service data model. So if you're doing anything in ServiceNow, you should probably have a good, healthy understanding of the CSDM. All right, we got a comment from Joe. Looks like the YouTube channel has tons of CSDM related videos too. Yes, yes. Um, my channel is not the only channel. There is a great channel from ServiceNow with some good information on it too. Thank you, Joe. Good to see you. Glad you're able to join. Hope you like my comment feature. I'm so excited about getting the comment up, and it even shows your picture there, so that's pretty cool. All right, so we were going over the insights. I'm just going to click through each one of these so you can see them all. There's this business portfolio. So we got some orphaned business capabilities. What does that mean? I have business capabilities that we say we're trying to provide to the business, but there's no applications associated with it. So that's a problem, right? Maybe we need to buy something, or maybe we need to register that business application using that form so that we can associate it with the business capability. There is the information portfolio. So here we have information objects not related to any business application. Remember back to what I was saying earlier, examples of information objects may be a customer credit card, customer social security, employee social security number. And so if you took the time to put those in the CMDB, yes, in the CMDB, and then to associate them with the business application, you might, well, why manage them if you don't need them? So this is just calling your attention that there's 11 information objects. In fact, in this instance, they're not associated with any business application. Maybe we'll do that as part of the demo. And then the technology portfolio. Again, remember, this is about life cycles, support, end of support, stuff like that. So we've got business applications with life cycle risk, meaning they're end of support or end of warranty, things like that. Application services with life cycle risk. So same thing um, as the business applications, but for specifically for application services. And please don't ask me the difference between the two of those. I don't remember off the top of my head. I could probably research and tell you. Hardware models. So I had the Dell PowerEdge and a rack and stuff like that, but network switches are another common example. Software products with lifecycle risk, and then servers. It's odd one. Servers with lifecycle risk. So maybe I have some servers that are end of support um, on that one. So that's the. Oh, and I have this little button. I just didn't show you where I can say, only show me stuff for production. And I played with it, and the only one that changes is that one with application services. This 3 turns into a 2 when I turn into show only production instances. So there you can see that change. All right, down below that, we have really what you would like. My work is the equivalent of this needs attention. So I'm an enterprise architect. I'm logging into my workspace. I've got my insights up here that I can go, yeah, thanks, ServiceNow, appreciate you. I can hide it. And then I've got my work. What are my approvals that are out there? What are my requests that are out there? What certification tasks might be out there? What assessments might be out there? The technology portfolio audit, and looking at any technical debt. So these should be the things as an enterprise architect that I'm kind of moving in and out of all day long to do my job. And this one, we've got an approval for Kevin, who I'm logged in as, to do something. And then there's a view all button to go over that. But we're not going to dive into that just yet. We've got cooler stuff to look at before we get there. Portfolio overview and health. Now we're going to start getting into some reporting and stuff like that, just to give you an idea of kind of how ServiceNow has structured this. And not all of these are going to have data associated with them because I am in a demo environment. This isn't production. But I have some cards for business applications, which you can see there. Business capabilities, information objects, which we were talking about. Business applications by install type, they're above my head. So what's in the cloud, what's on premises, what's third-party hosted. Business apps with a low score, business apps with TRM technical debt. Okay, technical debt is things that are out of warranty, out of support, and so therefore they cost when they break because we don't have a way to engage support for those things, or we're paying extra for extended support maybe. Portfolio health, we've got business applications without capabilities, without owners, without, or business apps that have not been assessed, stuff that doesn't have digital interfaces. It's 2025. Most applications at some point talk to each other, right? So if there's no integrations or digital interfaces, as ServiceNow calls it, that's a good flag. Apps without app services, apps without architectural artifacts, which we're going to show here in the demo. What the heck is an architectural artifact? Capabilities without business apps, business capabilities not assessed, and digital interfaces without digital integrations. So 100% of my digital interfaces do not have digital integrations. And so it's showing fire. I think that's fire. Either it's fire or it's, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Fire, or it's like what's the guy, the painters use? I'm just picturing that guy from TV. And you have the little thing and you paint. That's what it looks like. So it's either a flame or it's a painting a thing. I'm just being silly. Okay. And all of these are interactive. So if I wanted to go look at all the business applications, I can click on it and see all my business applications. Business capabilities, if you're wondering, here's the business capabilities that are in a demo environment. I was talking about payment services at the beginning of the video, but here you can see managing customer sales calls or screen and selecting candidates, right? Probably an application for that. Review market performance or conduct pricing analysis. All of these typically have people, processes, or technology that are associated with those capabilities. Okay, enough of that. Let's head to the dashboard. The dashboard is using platform analytics, of course. It's pretty feature rich. It's got a lot in here, but the demo really only has data for application and the portfolio total cost of ownership. But you can see the breakdown. I'm not going to read all these to you because you can read, but pretty helpful information about my business applications here, my digital interfaces. Let's check out the business portfolio again. I told you there'd be no data on some of these. Tech portfolio, I've got my TRM products, approved software, et cetera, et cetera. Information portfolio. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I do have some objects. So I have business apps that are associated with internal use, confidential, highly sensitive, and oh, lovely. Over here by data domain, I've got uh, sysids because someone or the demo data doesn't have a record that it's referencing. But yeah, another demo fail. Total cost of ownership. So we can see here we've got a 0 there, but maybe for FY24 Q4, we can see we're at 339K and we can track that over time. So again, things that an enterprise architect's probably thinking about. There's the business apps by TCO score, and we'll scroll down. Yep, that's our whole dashboard, and it's got some uh, filtering options, so app category, install type, application type, business unit, stuff like that, business owner, stuff like that. Okay, let's get into some of the good stuff. So we're going to move over to the business portfolio, which is this link up here in the upper left. And this used to be in a different place, but it's basically a hierarchy, right? Looking at a business capability, and underneath the business capability, you would have maybe more capabilities. In this case, develop sales strategy, and under that, you want to develop sales forecast, and under that, you want to gather current and historic order. Come on, tell me what the rest of it is. Let's just lighten up. There you go. Order information. And then there's Salesforce Sales Cloud, which is an application associated with that capability. So you can get really, really granular with your definition of business capabilities. But at some point, there should be a business application associated with it, in this case, Salesforce Cloud. We're going to go into finance and manage billings, manage payments, and there's this value pay business application. And this is the example I was giving at the beginning of the video of a business capability, right? Accepting payments. We'll open up all the details about this and go through it. So we've got our business app called Value Pay. It's in production. It is operational. It's using the business process quote to cash. If you've got those business processes defined, we can specify a lifecycle stage. This one is in use, but let's take a look. Actually, let's back up. Let's look at the operational cycle stages. So you can see those: deploy, design, end of life, ideation, inventory, operational. And then we can look at this one for the lifecycle stage, end of support, in use, or pending retirement. All helpful information. What application type is it? Is it homegrown? Is it custom off the shelf? Is it end user compute, or is it SaaS? And then what scoring profile is it going to use? That's why I wanted to cover scoring profiles in the beginning. So when you saw this, you had some context of what a scoring profile is. It's using the business capability scoring profile. For some reason, it's a business application. I'm not going to change it because I've shown you that scoring profile, but we can track the publisher for it, the financial or the application category. We'll take a look at some of those categories might be so you can see an example. Architecture type, client, web-based, platform host, application family. Maybe this is a great example. When I was in healthcare, we have like a electronic medical record, but the electronic medical record had all these like little apps associated with. So like an app for pharmacy, an app for nurses, an app for doctors, and an app for right. So they would all be business applications and like roll up into an application family, which is what we're seeing here. Let's see. Host, technology stack. This one's serverless, but you can see where you might want to start tracking different information about that application. Is it in the cloud? Is it on premises? Is it hybrid? Is it third-party hosted like ServiceNow? Is it how many users are using it? Again, this is really great information to have with a business application when you're trying to make decisions, especially decisions around investing and strategy, support, change management, risk, stuff like that. Here we've got a selection for the platform that it's using. This one's using Azure. What the active user account is, many times very different from the potential users. What business units associated with it, what departments associated with it, when was the last change made, what's the accessibility level. I don't even know what that means. That might have to do with actual accessibility, like screen font size and stuff like that. It's a whole world I haven't delved into. When was it installed? How old is it? What's the description? What models associated with it? Is there a contract associated with it? Are we disposing of it? If we are just planning to dispose of it, where is it in that process? Who are the owners for it? This is all good CMDB information to have and build out. And I recommend, if you're going to look at enterprise architecture, do this work first, right? You'll be so much more ready for the activities that you might do in enterprise architecture if you've got a healthy CMDB according to that CSDM, and you've populated a lot of these properties. Here we get to set the assessment data, whether it's strict as far as regulatory implications, complexity, and some options there. Here's the compliance information around business criticality and data classification, the emergency tier. This one's business critical, but you could have mission critical, non-critical. Whether the application has been certified or not. I'm imagining this is probably something the architects would say, whether that's certified or not, and then some work notes associated with it. That's really like a CMDB business application 101, kind of seeing what that looks like. Sorry, my nose started itching. And then we've got the scores. Okay, I spent a little time at the beginning talking about scores. So now you can see how the scores, depending on when they're being calculated, are going to pile up and be associated with it. This application has two information objects, the virtual machine images and application backup files. And I forgot to mention this earlier. With those information objects, you can specify if it has virtual machine images, can it just read them, or can it create them? Can it update them? Can it delete them? So you can get that granular as far as what kind of permissions it has. This particular app has had an architecture review. So someone, and it's been approved. So that went through. There are some Discover technologies associated with it. I haven't even talked about Discovery yet, but if you've got Discovery running, again, that's something else feeding your CMDB that could show up here like we're seeing now. We've got different application services. So maybe that actually helps to see that prod, QA, test, cert. You might have heard all of those words. You can track those separately, track what's associated with them, what's installed on them, what the hardware is associated. So sometimes your non-prod may have older hardware, or you're not as concerned about keeping that as on the newest and latest and greatest. So here we can see that total cost of ownership information. This would be tracking things like, and probably behind my head is probably the better. Actually, let's just do a group by on this so you can see the different licensing, maintenance, and support, and you can track all that for that business application. Architectural artifacts we'll get into here in a minute, unless I've actually I know I was supposed to get into there. Let's see. I'm on that one. Let me just make sure there's nothing else to cover in this list. Yeah, I think I'm good there. So one of the other features when you're looking at a business app is the dependency view, right? So you're probably familiar with this in the CMDB. I want to see what this application looks like and what are those relationships with different things. So here we see the capabilities at the top, to manage billings, manage payments, and then there's the business application. And then if I move up here, I've got the prod and the different things we just saw on the list there. And then now I've got a VMware server and ESX server associated with it. And even that ESX server has a bunch of network capabilities. Some people like go delete all these and don't want all the network switches. Some people leave them. Here I've got another VMware server over here, and associated with that is a Java application service, and then an Oracle catalog and a MySQL catalog associated with it. So it's just a way for you to visualize this particular application and where it sits in your infrastructure or in your larger view of things. The other cool thing that was introduced, actually I don't even know when it was introduced, is the ability to have architectural artifacts. And I made a video a while back of doing that with a Lucidchart integration, and it was okay. It would basically take the relationships information and push it out to Lucidcharts, and then you could go make changes to it. Maybe you're like redesigning it, but they brought all that in platform now. So let's go ahead and check that out. We're going to create a diagram. Let's leave this as enterprise. Well, let's just go through these options. Enterprise modeling and visualization is the diagramming tool we're going to use. If I had Lucidchart integration set up, obviously that might be one of the options, is to do Lucidchart. The diagram type, this one's going to be business app hierarchy. We're going to do a new artifact for the value pay. Let's give it a name. We'll do demo, live demo. And we can specify a category for this. Maybe not. Let's just type in a letter here. Come on, it's not a required field. Okay, there we go. Application migration. Maybe we're looking at that, and then I'm going to do all of these. I want to see the business capabilities, any demands, digital interfaces, and information objects, and I don't want to see any projects on this one. In fact, I don't want to see any demands on this one either. So we'll just leave that there, demands and projects off, and then we'll create a diagram. And I hadn't really played around with this much. It's been on my list to do. First complaint is the new tab. I don't understand why it does that, because I'm back in the enterprise architecture workspace that I just left. It would have been nice if it opened up in a new tab in my workspace, but it didn't. It opened a new browser tab. But if you've used Visio, if you've used Lucidcharts, this should look kind of familiar. We've got a good visual of the very similar to the dependency view we were looking at, but now I can edit, right? I have control over all of this stuff and what's going on. So if I wanted to add something, let's do something cool. Where is, I don't want to do a technical service. Let's say, I think the demo example that they give is this Dell Inc. PowerEdge R630 is going out of support or something like that. So if we were to like drill into this, I think there is the ellipsis here. Nope, I don't want to do it there. I'll delve into that later into the life cycle when we get there. But maybe, for example, I wanted to replace this. So I can add a new hardware model, kind of drag this down to here in my diagram. Let's go ahead and zoom in there a little bit and drag this up. And now that I have my hardware model name above my head over on the right hand side, you can see over here, now I can configure this particular object on the diagram, and we are going to choose an existing one apparently, and let's do the Dell Inc. PowerEdge. So this is a R630, so let's do the T610. All right, and then now that we selected that, we get tons more options around that particular one. You know, that might have showed up when I did this one over here. Nope, it didn't. It's just showing for the new one I put on the screen. And now it's not showing at all. Hey, another demo fail. I can't get back to that window once I close it. That's not good. Maybe I'm not clicking hard enough. Open side panel. Okay. Yeah, something that I don't know everything. There's a side panel. And that's just the information like you're looking at CMDB, right? So nothing new there. We kind of just went through all that. So let's go to this one, open the side panel. And now let's pop that out. And so I can show you on this one, I'm pretty sure end of support. Yeah. End of support started on September 1st of 2024. So that's in our demo example, why we might want to replace this Dell Inc. PowerEdge R630 with a Dell Inc. PowerEdge T610. And what I can do is I can go grab that relationship here. Let's grab carefully. There we go. And move it over to there and make a note of it. And then I can make sure my diagram looks good. And then I can save it as a new version, and maybe I add an annotation or as I submit it for approval for someone to actually go look at and approve that I'm replacing this, right? So we now have the ability in platform, in the enterprise architectural workspace, in a new browser tab for some reason, to create architecture diagrams for our business applications. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to show that. And I'm not going to get into like all of this other stuff up here, but you can imagine you can get pretty creative and creating your relationships between things and documenting whatever it is. And I've pulled up an existing one so you could see one not being built live in front of you, but I'll show you later on here where we can actually do this from scratch. So it's not just limited to what you're seeing here. And you can create as many of those, and you can associate them with business apps. You can associate them with other things too. But I'm going to close this browser tab. We're going to head back to my original browser tab, and we'll close that. All right. So I think I showed everything there that I wanted to show. The next menu item on the left that direction, is the application rationalization. So again, at the beginning of the video, I talked about kind of high level what you might do with application with enterprise architecture. I still know the old name, I can say it all the time. And that might be looking at where or what applications do you may want to sustain, invest in, migrate, retire, or you don't know. And so this bubble chart kind of gives a 4 quadrants of the functional fit versus customer satisfaction. And now if I wanted to change this calculation, let's move my head out of the way here. I didn't see my head move. Did my head not move? Yeah, it moved. Okay. One of my screens that is backwards. I've got like 3 screens I got to monitor. So if I check out that panel, I can change the X and Y axis. So these are configurable depending on what scores and stuff. So this one's doing CSAT versus functional fit. We could do cloud readiness versus business impact, functional fit score versus business value score, technical risk score versus business value score, and usage score versus customer satisfaction. I'm going to go with functional fit, and then we can change the bubble size depending on what we want to see. So right now it's set to usage. Let's just have some fun. Let's do application to incident count and see if anybody stands out on the application incident count. Yeah, so we do have, looks like Fidelity 401k has 10 incidents, Buy has 10 incidents, Workday has 2 incidents. So that was pretty cool. Sometimes when I do that in a demo, it doesn't work. But the quadrants each have a recommendation associated with them. In this case, my head's going to be in the way of one of them. Retire is what's behind my head. Migrate there on the bottom right. Interesting that ServiceNow Discovery is showing as migrate. What are you going to migrate to? Competing products, I guess. Um, ServiceNow is not everything in the world, so I totally understand. Invest up here in the upper right, and then sustain up here. So invest might be like I want to replace or upgrade to the latest version or stuff like that. And then what we can do from these, okay, if you remember me talking at the beginning about that integration with strategic portfolio management, that is the ability to manage projects. And so an enterprise architect might want to create a demand. A demand, just a demand 101, is there is this project or this work that I want to do. And in ServiceNow, we call that a demand. You're making a demand of the IT organization or of the entire organization, depending on how you're using strategic portfolio management. In this case, we want to, what did I click on? Great HR. But maybe I want to upgrade this application. And I know that's going to come with some professional services expense associated with it. And I need to get that approved. I need to follow the process that is established. And that could be we're going to, let's see, upgrade the application. We'll give it a name, upgrade, great. I've never heard of this before, great HR, like that. And then I pick a start date and all that stuff. So this is a quick way for an enterprise architect to say, okay, we've reviewed this and we've identified that we need um, to upgrade this application. I don't know why my dates aren't sticking. There we go. I'll just put the 31st on there, and we'll associate HR, human resources. Which capability makes sense? Align staffing plan. Yeah, we'll go with that, staffing plan. And we can associate more than one business capability with it too. Obviously, you saw that nested structure to it. We can create the demand, and now I have a demand actually associated with that. And if I wanted to get back to that demand, I think it shows up in the list over here. Business applications, entities. Yeah, if not, you can add it in your workspace if you want to. So all right, so that's app rationalization. Again, down here or up here, there's different filters and stuff if you want to focus in on certain things. I showed you that it's highly configurable there with the settings. And the last thing to show you here is you can flip to a list view instead of seeing the bubble chart and kind of see all the stuff that's associated there. So lots of options and personalization around how this looks and feels in order to do your job as an enterprise architect. Next one was the technology portfolio. This is probably my weakest area because I've never had a connection to a source for this, but I know what it is. I understand it, and here we've got the ability to create TRM products or product life cycles. This is the equivalent of what we saw on the Employee Center that I showed you earlier. So we're just doing it within the workspace instead of doing it in Employee Center. So I have those same capabilities there. And then if I look at, let's go ahead and expand I think it was SQL Server was the one I saw had. Yeah, so here we got SQL Server version 2012, and I can open up that and see different information about SQL Server. Sorry if my head was in the way. And if I pull up the full details for that, it'll show me that right now the phase selected is evaluation. It could be, let's see what our options are. It could be approved, approved with constraints, divest, unapproved, and then what the start and stop or end date is for those phases. So I might want to request a approved with constraints, meaning you can use this SQL Server, but only for tests. You can't use it for production, and so you would put your constraints like in the description or whatever. So it's just a way for you to manage all those um, not rules, but kind of approved uses of whatever technology it is. And that, let's go back to technology portfolio. In this case, it was a SQL Server, but you can get some ideas there about other types of things. Let's look authorized pay, a database server. There's that PowerEdge R630 that we saw earlier. Let's go to the full details for that. There's the life cycle. There, approved with constraints from through February of 2025. So this also, that application, the portfolio also has a Gantt chart view to it. I think where that's the list. Where is my Gantt chart view? The ability to actually see kind of how that fits on the timeline. I think I might need to go to this business capability. Where is my Gantt chart? Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know where my Gantt chart is. And I'm off script. I'm off my script. I had written down a couple of things I want to make sure to show. Okay. I might come back. I might make a video for the Gantt chart, but there's ability to see the timeline of a particular technology lifecycle. I thought it would be on this one. I don't see it. Let's go to this into the list view. PowerEdge 360. There's my life cycles. Yeah, I'm not seeing the timeline I was expecting. Where did they bury that? Can't remember. I've got the value at pay application here. Architectural review, discovered, total cost of ownership. Let's look at this. Create demand, view roadmap. Is that my timeline? No, this brought me to strategic planning workspace. So that's not what I wanted. Yeah, I'll have to follow up on that one. I lost my. So basically, it's a Gantt chart that shows what you're not seeing is like the different technology reference models, and then there's little figurines or figures for end of support, end of warranty, end of life, stuff like that. So that's what I'm missing. I can't find for some reason. Lifecycle timelines. Ah, there it is. I found it. Lifecycle timelines. All right. So here we see the value pay application that we've been looking at for this whole demo. There's prod. There's QA. Let's look at prod. It's got 2 hardware models, 1 software product, and then I can see and expand all that. I could have hit this little bit right here too to expand everything, but there's my Gantt chart. Let me move my head back to, actually my head's in a good place. There's all that, and I can scroll up and down, and then this is the important part over here where I can see different information about this. And as an enterprise architect, you have ability to update all this stuff too. There's my upcoming TPM risk, high, moderate, low, and that's what's showing here. And these are all reflective of the life cycles associated with those technology reference models. Found the Gantt chart. 6 minutes left. All right. And I only have 6 minutes left. So the last part is the diagrams. I promised I'd show you a different way to get here other than opening a new browser tab. And so the diagrams is I can come in and not be in a business application, and I can just create a diagram from scratch. So let's do that. Live demo number 2. Let's see, put my head back over here. Architectural category. Let's do something fun. We'll do a functional decomposition. I don't even know what that means. But now I've got a blank canvas to start with, and I can create whatever I want. Let's just add some stuff to the canvas. The application name, a business application. There's a computer. So it's putting all this stuff up here on the screen, and I can build out my diagram and start connecting things using my arrows and have control of those relationships there on the right. This one, relationship between selected 2 entities cannot be committed, is only for visual representation purpose. Yeah, I know. Let's just move that or associate it over here. So there you got a good example of the diagramming capabilities within here. And then, of course, I can save these, duplicate them, submit for approval, share them. If I wanted to send them over to somebody, I could do that. And let's just say I can share it with Aaron. Add a reviewer. There used to be a export to PowerPoint. I don't know where that is. I thought it would be in the share, but it wasn't. So no export to PowerPoint. But that's the diagramming piece. Last piece here I had was the list view of kind of, this is like common in all workspaces, to kind of see all the different stuff that makes up enterprise architecture under the business units, departments, and goals and value streams, capabilities, demands. Oh, there's the demands I was looking for earlier. So that's how I can get back to my demand that I created. Business applications, app services, digital integrations, discovered technology, technology risk, TPM logs, and then the information portfolio, which I didn't really pull up. Let's just pull up one of these since we got 3 minutes left. Licensed off, let's say movies. Movie sounds cool. So this is what an information object looks like. I've got movie, who owns that information object, what business unit is associated with it, stuff like that. And then I can specify the data classification for that as well. Maybe it's, movies are not medical records, but I don't know, something very personal data not included in previous classifications. So there, I can clarify all that. And then these can be associated with business applications. And let me go back to the value pay to show you what that looks like when you have these information objects. Oh, I did touch on that earlier, where you see those qualifiers. So I have got the information object itself, and then I get to specify, and it didn't actually show me where I can do it, what those attributes are. Is it create, read, update, delete for that particular one? So yeah, that's, I don't want to edit it this way. That's not what I wanted. The other thing too that I was kind of frustrated with, since I hadn't been in this workspace in a little bit, is the approvals and stuff open in a new tab. Well, this one opens in a new workspace tab. Maybe it's the certification. Because I was thinking like to show you guys how these tasks look. I know what it was. It wasn't that they open a new tab, is that they open and I can't do anything with them. Like there's no instructions or anything like that. And the certification, same way. So I've got a business application certification that opens in a new browser tab. And all I have is business app data certification. I don't know what business app it's associated with. I don't know if it's as a function of the demo data. But yeah, I needed to go look and see why this was working the way it was. But all right, 2 minutes left. That's enterprise architecture minus digital integrations. I didn't dive really deeply into that, but I hope you found this helpful in understanding what enterprise architecture is, why you might want to use it, and probably how important it is to leverage a healthy CMDB and things like IT operations and management, hardware asset management, software asset management, and our lovely CSDM or common service data model. Happy to answer any questions with the time we got left. Let me have it. There's a couple people out there. I see, maybe 5-ish people. I know there's a lag, so I'll stick around here if it runs over the 2 p.m. or 7 p.m. For those of you that are UTC. I did all that without drinking any water. And while I'm waiting on you guys, let's I'm now just playing around until you guys post some questions I might answer. Okay, let's pause that. And anything else fun? I got music. Let's go ahead and put the music back on because I might just switch to... Thanks, Joe. Joe says, thanks, no questions. Thanks for the demo. Same from Rob. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for the support. Glad you both found it helpful. And hopefully we'll see you guys. Oh, I forgot to do my social stuff. So how to find me. There's a QR code that I'll put up here in a second. That links to all my socials. So LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and my blog, justin.house. That's probably the most important to me. Justin.house is basically anything I'm putting out there, I'm going to put on my blog and probably even give some more information out there. But I'll be here every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UTC, demoing something. May not even be ServiceNow, but I'll usually try to get out a couple days before so you know what the topic is and if you want to attend. Thank you, everybody who did attend. Thanks for the comments. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care.